Welcome back. We're going to take another look at Hugo in this tutorial, and we're going to take a look at creating blog posts or content for your site and talk about front matter, what it is and how it relates to the themes that you've got installed and are being displayed on the site that you're currently using. So where we left off in the last tutorial, we basically set up a new Hugo site and we installed a theme. The theme is called Hugo Paper, and this is kind of what it looked like when we finished the last tutorial. We just got the one blog post and you can see the markdown for the JavaScript code that we've got in there being rendered as well, which is all very nice. But we need to look a little bit more in depth as to how you actually create those blog posts and what the different parameters mean and how you can utilize them in your own themes before we can really get into how to create your own custom themes should you wish to. So let's go back over to our Visual Studio Code editor here, and in the demo site, if you remember from last time, we were able to create a new blog post just by saying Hugo new and specifying the posts directory, which will put something into this post directory here inside of contents, and just give the post a name, which will default to the title that we're going to use. So we'll just say a new post, and don't forget the .md extension on there because otherwise it won't actually generate that file for us. And as it did before, we've got a new markdown file which we can put some content in here. So just say the new post, and we can put some headings in there and so forth like that. And any other content that you might be blogging about. So there's a few things in here in this top section which is referred to as the front matter. So everything up here is a kind of a parameter that can be utilized within the theme, but it is also used by Hugo as well to actually generate the post as well. So obviously the title, we've got a new post, which was what we put on the command line a second ago, and the date as well. And just a little something to be aware of here. If you do have to change the date here for any reason, just be careful that you actually get the format correctly, because if you miss out a leading 0, for example, then the posts start not appearing. So that's something I learned a hard way by all the posts disappearing on a site. Just make sure that date is in the correct format. And of course you've got this draft is true parameter as well, and whilst this property is there and set to true, you won't actually see the post appearing on the site. So it won't actually get rendered when you build the Hugo site. So as mentioned, these are all parameters that can be utilized within your theme, and I'll show you an example of that in just a second. But there are other things that you can put in here as well, such as the slug, which is basically the URL path that is rendered. I think by default it should just hyphenate the title. Let's just make sure we set the date back to a previous date, otherwise it won't actually show. So there's our new post, and you can see in the URL in the address bar here in Chrome, the slug or the kind of path for the article is a-new-post. But you can change that, so we can say slug is equal to something else. So we could say my new blog, for example. And what we should find is now, if we go back to the the homepage, you'll find that the new post that we just created is actually on the different slug path that we just specified in the front matter. So other built-in things that you might want to also make use of as well are things like categories, which will actually generate an index page of all the different categories and all the different blog posts that fall into this category. So we could say it's JavaScript, for example. And then we can also add tags as well, and tags are a bit more interesting. Let's just say JavaScript and tutorial. In this theme at least anyway, because if we actually go back to the post, you can see it's putting these anchors at the bottom of the blog post for us. So these will just link to the pages that has all of the articles that match these tags, so providing you some internal linking within your blog, which is also really handy. So just worth saying that these front matter parameters are utilized in the theme as well, and you can create your own custom ones as well. If you wanted to create such things as featured images, for example, you could put an image at the top of your blog post. You could actually specify a featured image property here and then just say it's image.jpg or something like that. But you would need to actually, this theme doesn't support it, so you would actually need to incorporate that into your theme directly. But some themes do have this already built in. But just to show you, you can put any parameter in here that you wish. So for example, if I wanted to put another property in here called developer and just set it to my name, we can actually now utilize that developer property inside of our theme and put that anywhere that we want to within a blog post, for example. So I'm going to show you quickly how you can do that, and then maybe in the next tutorial we'll actually take a look at developing themes in a bit more detail. But in the layouts folder, so don't forget in the previous tutorial I basically cloned this paper theme into our themes folder so that we can actually tinker with some of the code and stuff. So if we go into this default and then go into the single.html, so the single layout file is used when it's a single blog post, and you might be able to see here already that this theme is using the double curly braces to actually get some of those parameters from the front matter and then display them in the post. So here's where the content is. So if we wanted to put like the author underneath it, the theme does actually have built-in authoring stuff in already, but this is just an example. We can say if the params in the front matter has a property called developer, then all we want to do is then say the developer that wrote this, and this is just some text, and then we can just echo out or interpolate that developer parameter. And what we should find now, if we go back to the post, you can see that the developer that wrote this is James, and if we were to go back to the actual blog post itself, the actual markdown file, and change it to someone else, then that is updated as a parameter in the blog post. And if we actually go back to the site, you can see that that value has updated there as well. So that's just an example of how to use the front matter within a theme, or within a Hugo setup rather. And what you might find is as well that with the themes they provide their own kind of global properties or parameters, if you will. So for example, with the Hugo paper theme that we've got installed at the moment, these are some of the options that you can actually add to your site to customize the theme. So this has all been built into the theme by accessing different parameters in different places. So what we could do is actually show our Twitter handle on this theme. It's provided a built-in support for that. So I'm just going to copy this bit of block of code here, and what we need to do is put it into our config.toml file, which you might remember from the previous tutorial is where we actually set the theme in the first place. So we're just setting the color to this linen color, and then if I put my Twitter handle in there as well, and then go back to the theme, or go back to the site rather, you can see now we've got a Twitter icon appearing which will link to Twitter for my particular profile. So these kind of parameters are actually theme specific, so you might just want to check the documentation for your theme to see what's provided for you, and save yourself some time rather than having to code up your own links to your social profiles, for example. So that's just a quick overview of the front matter, the parameters that you can use within your Hugo blog posts, how you can use it to customize the individual post, and also use parameters that you put into that front matter within your themes as well. So next time we'll take a look at themes in a bit more in depth, and we'll maybe take a look at how you can actually create your own from scratch and create your own themes for your blogs that you're creating. But that's it for this tutorial. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.